Continue, page 32, Lamed Beis. We start earlier from the Siv Dalet. Says the Alter Rebbe, why by Nazir, the Alter Rebbe begin with one of the shilas? Why by Nazir does it say Kodesh Yagadol Perasarishe? What does long hair have to do with Kodesh? She brings a pasuk in Daniel. Machazer Daniel Sav Atikim Yosef Osarishe Omar Noko. What does it mean that he saw Atik Yemin? Atik Yemin is like we say Yemei Selam. The Rebishter is higher than Yemei Selam. Because Yemei Selam is the mocking from the worlds. Sorry. Elam is the highest that comes into the world. Like we know, that 6 days made the creation. Proper should have said B'Sheshis Yomim. It's the Sheshis Yomim, the Spheris which created the world through the Spheris. That's Mamalik Olam. But Atik is Atik Yemin, is higher than that. Because the Yem Rishon was Chesed and created Eir and Mayim. That's Mamalik. But under the Etzem of the Rebishter, it says, he's much higher. He's Atik Yemin, he's removed from the word Hama'atik Horim. He's higher than Yemei. What comes down from Atik Yemin, come down in Spheris, there should be Yemei Selam. There should be Mamalik Kol Almin. That's a very small ha'orah. Higher, that's not Ein Arich Bichlal Ta'atzmus U'Mahus. And that's why it says in the vision of Daniel, Usadei Sheke'omor, he saw that the hair of the head is like wool, because there's a side that's B'kei the Mech, a tremendous tzimtzum, even though that the side is hollow. And in the hair, there's some energy from the moya, but it's a mitzumtzum oid. So mitzumtzum, that's why when you cut the head of the hair, it doesn't hurt. Why doesn't it hurt? Because it's very mitzumtzum. So the chayes from Atik that comes down to be moker chayim is like a hair. Why do we use this? Because this is a marshal that even though it comes from him, it's the save of his kodesh of the lagami. You could cut the hair and it doesn't hurt at all. It's not negea bichlal. It's such a ha'oreh mitzumtzemes like Cyrus. Cyrus is memalik kol almin. It's at Tzimtzum, but this is connected to kedusha. The hair shows that it's such a high level, for Kodesh removal, it can't come down and primis in the world, only to have Cyrus. But to get from Seviv Kol Almi, you need to have the hair. You need to have the Tzimtzumim, because from Kodesh alone, you can't receive anything. But by Malik Kol Almi, becomes the Ilo and the Olo, the Seichel comes in the Midah. Even the slaps and Shom Beguf can't come without Cyrus. Not it can't come without Cyrus. You don't need Cyrus. Hishtalshlus means there's Ilo v'Olo, they're connected. The Olo and the Ilo are lefierech one another. So you don't need Cyrus. Cyrus means when it comes from that place, for save kol, it's be'ein arech. What moshel do you say on the Malik Kol Almin coming in the world, not Cyrus? There you have the moshel, the Shoma Beguf, Seichel B'kei Chamaisa Shebiyad, because it's Ilo v'Olo. And the Alter Rebbe explains a side note. Sinus is only good when it comes from a very high place of Atik, of Kodesh. That's why by a lady, she has to cover her head, because the Isha is a level of Malchus that comes into the world. If there's a side of from Malchus, it's a Tzimtzum, עצom, could be a Nika Sachitzenim, too much Tzimtzum. And that's where the Levim also have to cut their hair, because the Levim are Gvuris, and if they have hair, there'll be too much Tzimtzum. Says the Tzemach Tzedek, look in the Sefer Nishmas David and Shir Hashirim, says Apostle Seorech Ke'eder Ho'izim. So he explains, what does it mean that the hair of Kol Yisrael is like the goats, that the Chetzenim, the clippers, don't have anything. So it's mashma in the tikkunim elsewhere. Like purple at the time in Torah, their side is the nukva from Malchus that come in Bria. So it's a contradiction, because you're talking about the lady over here in Shir Hashirim, and say she has hair, and the hair there's no achizat tzimtzum, and then you say in the tikkunim that there's sha'or is the nukva that come in the world of Bria, and they have a lot of colors, and they're wonderful. As the Rebbe the Tzemach Tzedek explains in the Zeir Harakia Pirush in the Zeir Parsha Vayechi that it depends where the Malchus is. If the Malchus is in Atzilus, Chitzenim can't get anything. If Malchus is in Bria, from there, for the Cyrus, from Malchus and Bria, for the hair of Malchus and Bria, there could be a Nika Sachitzenim. This is Pshat Nesir Hashirim, Orech Ke'eder Ho'izim, Kegol Shomeh Har Gilad. Gilad is Agala Zetz the Parsa. So since it's higher than the Parsa, that's why the Chitzenim have no Achiza. Because the Parsa doesn't let the hairs go into the world of Bria. This is Shagol means it froze, there's no sides. And this is Haragilot. What's Haragilot? Says Nigimore, Adikim or Mashiach will come. We'll look at the Yitzhar like a mountain and say, how are we able to overcome the Yitzhar? Says the Alter Rebbe, it means Ve'amech kulam tzadik. Every Yid looks at the Yitzhar like a mountain. The smallest prohibition against Hashem's will is like a mountain separate between him and the Rebbe. This attitude keeps him at a straight and narrow. And this brings a very high madrega of Gol Shomeh Haragilad. What we explained before. And this is, looking about the Parsha, there's many levels of Parshas. And the main idea, and the main inyan of a Parsha is to stop Yanika Sachitzenim. Now we finished our Gos at Tzemach Tzedek, but from Sefer Kol Almin, which is Kodesh and moved on, from there, since you can't have Ilavol, so you can't, the only way to have Amshach is Cyrus. And Cyrus brings the Kdusha of Sefer to the world, it brings the Malakul Almin. This is what we say by Nazir, is Ki Yafli Linde Nodir. This mitzvah, the Nazir goes to a very high place. Since he goes to a very high place, his hair is Kodosh. It's not Tzimtzumim like the Levim. It's Kodosh, because the Nazir himself is very high. Ad kan the beer from the Rebbe, from the Alter Rebbe, why the Nazir says Kodesh. So the Alter Rebbe now will understand what the Gemara says in Chulin. Three groups of malachim. One group of malachim say Kodesh. That's the Srofim. Srofim are the malachim in the world of Bria. Like we said before, that Chabad, Bina especially shine in Elam HaBria, and the Srofim are in Elam HaBria. They understand Getlichkeit. Then Gan Eden, they're like the Rosh. Since they understand Getlichkeit, and they understand how the Rebbeinu is Kodesh moved on, because they're right after the Kodesh moved on, the first creation. And they understand the whole market of their chayis is only at Tzimtzum through a Saira. They understand all this, but the Rebbeinu is much higher. It's Kodesh moved on. The chayis of Tzimtzum can come in them in a pnimis, only in a makif, and that's why Leishonisi, and that's why Anirishim and Yachre. When the Srofim understand this, they have a tremendous desire. They have a tremendous fire. That's why they're called Srofim. And that's why they say Kodesh once. Because these group of Malachim, of Srofim, the world of Bria, have one Ratzon. Nichlul ven is Seviv Kol Almin. That's why it says, Srofim Emdim Imale, Yeshaya saw. So the question is, how could you say at a Nivra that he stands higher than the Shekhinah? So he says like this. What did Yeshaya see? Yeshaya Novi saw, V'eres Adne Yeshiv al Kisiro. And this Adne, he saw Srofim standing higher than that Adne. What's Adne? Adne is Malchus. Yeshaya didn't get Malchus the way it's the Daled Rapsi the Echa, the way it's in the world of Atzilus. Because the Tzemach Tzedek, only Moshe Rabbeinu understood it. That's the shot that Hashem showed him the Daled of the Kesher Shel Tefillin. What did he understand? Adne, he says he saw Adne Yeshaya. Yeshaya understood Malchus the way it's in Eilomes, the way it's in Mamalin, Shem Kved Malchusei. Yeshiv al Kisei, he's sitting down on the chair. He's in the world of Bria. The word of Bria is called Kisei. And this is what it says. We're saying, Shemana Esrei, Antal Gibir Le'elam Adne. In order to be Adne, you need a lot of Gvuras with Tzimtzum. This is what it says. Ant ishtamei the odin al kela. Because from this level to be biyad, this is the lower level of Adne. It could come down in Elomes. It could be in Gvul and Midah. It could come down in every world according to its needs. So on this level of Adne, that Yeshaya understood, on this he says, Srofim Emdim Imale. What does it mean, Srofim Emdim Imale? Stand higher than Adne. Sad is Memale Kolam. Their tshuka is to be B'tseviv Kolam, which is Kodesh, to go out of their Hagbola from Memale Kolam and to connect with Tseviv Kolam. And we know wherever a person wants to be, he is there. So since Rofim Eimdim, with their tshuka, they stand Mimale Shem Adne, because their tshuka is to save Kolam. That's why they could be Eimdim Mimale, because their tshuka is the higher, and they understand in higher, and they feel for higher. Says the Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe, that a person has these three levels of these malachim. Tzemach Tzedek explains, because a malach is one malach is in Bria. One malach is in Yitzir, the different avodah is, but a person has all the elamis included in him. That's why it says Nase Odom Loshen Rabim, because all the elamis are in the person, and the person has the purse strings to change the world, because he has all the levels in him. What's the level? First level of malachim, Srofim that say Kodesh, that's the by a person you say no eish relate, is fiery burning to the Rebishter. Just like a guf, as Dalad you say this eish ruach ma'imafon. And also the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, the nefesh abamis has four, you say this ruchniim. The Midas Rois come from the Dal Yisei Ruchtim. The Alter Rebbe explains in the first chapter of Tanya. So the Nefesh Lekizas also you say this. And you say the mayim is in the moyach. And you say the eish is in the lave. The Rebbe says that everyone has the four you say this. But we don't know which is stronger, which is weaker. There is gecholim, there is burning coals. There is black coals. You don't see the fire, they're covered. But everyone has a fire. And when you blow on these dark coals hard enough, the fire comes out. There are people that have a strong nefesh, you say the eish, like burning coals. Some people, you say the eish is quiet. You have a spark, it's hidden. Everyone has a spark, and he has avoided is to blow on the spark, that he should have a fire flame to the Rebishter. In Giloi, that he should be begiloi of fire. And this is the blowing on the coals to reveal the Yiseido Eish in the person. This is the Aveda Til Krishma. To understand that the Rebishter is Omer Vayelo, and his Emer Veise. When a Yid says this and thinks this is the Aveda of Nipuach, that you blow on the nitzuts of the neshama, it should shine. You say b'chol levavcha, your spark is shining, your fire is going. This is what he said in the beginning of the Maimer. V'nigdashti b'teich b'nei Yisrael. So yes, what's the idea of teich? V'nigdashti b'teich. Teich is the inner of the heart of a Yid. He has to be v'nigdashti. He has to say Kodesh like the Malachim, to have a tremendous desire in the Rebishter. To understand how the Rebishter is much greater than the world. That's the first Kodesh. B'chol levavcha. His heart should be full. Like it says, this is the avodah v'yid v'nigdashti, to get his toich burning. As low as a spark is, he has to fan the flames of his neshama. Says that Tzemach Tzedek, another explanation what the idea is toich. We explained in the beginning of the Maimer, there's three levels. There's Reish, Guf, and Aglayim. So Leiv, which is the torso, is toich. So you have to work with your heart. V'nigdashti b'teich. The heart feels the Rebishter. Like he said in the beginning of the Maimer, that the Yisod HaEish, the fire is in the heart. Toich also means, says the Tzemach Tzedek, inner the heart, and it should be absorbed, clearly in the heart. The nigdashti, that is that absorption. And when you do Kiddush Shmei, says the Zayar, the name is Nisgala in Bria. This means it comes from a very high place. It says, Eno, the Maimer Shirim. There's three levels. There's one level of Leizos Mechabevat Shekorimi. Klal Yisrael is called the Eibishter's mother. Like it says, Sul Yedechem Kodesh Uvarchu Savai, it's Tzadikim bring Kodesh. Ha Yedin Kodesh Bevov. Through understanding Yechudi Loi, Yechudi Tato, and they give themselves over to the Eibishter. Mamsheh from Kodesh without a Vov to Kodesh and a Vov. Just like it's explained in that Maimer in Shir HaShirim, so it's in this pasuk v'nigdashim b'teich b'nei Yisrael. Through their feelings, through Yedechem Kodesh, they bring Taka Kodesh at Shailamato, and it should be Kodesh, it should come down here. This is what it says, Pshat in Zoyer and Ayam Mehemne. Kev and Yisrael Komikachin Noyer Ahu Kodesh. Okadei Nikra Le'ela Kodesh. That the Yidden make from Kodesh should be Kodesh, it should come down to the world. Kursaya Diyu Shomayim. Where does this shine? On the Kursaya, the chair of the Eibishter. Diyu Shomayim, which is Gan Eden Elyon in Bria. Then the Emor in Chulin says that there's a second cut. Second group of malachim, that the group of the Ifanim in the world of Yitzira, of Gan Eden HaTachton, they say twice Kodesh. Because the first Kodesh is they have a tremendous yearning to the Rebbe that's much higher. But there's the second level that say twice Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh. They want Shechina Shekam Lamata. Srofim want to extinguish, totally be bottled to the Rebbe, totally become oish, become nothing, become one with Seven. Kata Bezi Fani wants Gililikus Lamato. Look in the Maimen in Shreira and in Shirashirim says it's a Matzedek. If it's with Srofim say Kodesh, means to go higher, and they find him say Baruch, they want him to come down. So that's why they have a different lotion. They say Kodesh, Kodesh. But in the Pasuk it says Baruch, because they want him to come down Lamat. That's the idea of Kodesh, Kodesh. You can also bring a raya to all of this, says the Tzemach Tzedek. From what the Alter Rebbe says in Tere Erin, Pasha B'Shalach and Oz Yoshim. That bracha, it says Baruch Ato Hashem Mino Olam V'Ad Olam. That's how it said brachas in the Beis Hamikdash. What is bracha Mino Olam? Mino Olam mean that Alma de Iskasya should come down in Alma de Isgalya V'Ro Kol Bosa. This is the idea. They say Baruch Med Hashem Im Kimei. Malachim that say Kodesh Kodesh want to bring the Shechina Lamata. Says the Tzemach Tzedek further in the Agoy that the first kat, which is the first group of the Srofim, and the world of Bria have a Maile, like it says there in the Maimer, they want to be nichel when they're Eibishter. They want this gal, you shouldn't be his gal. His gal, you shouldn't be separate. Should be felt in this world. You should feel the unity of the Eibush in the world, and they could make from that it should be Hofach Yom Le'Abosha, and it means the Hiskalus, the Bruim of Almadis Guy and Almadis Kasya. And Bria goes up in Atzilis, not coming down a ray of light of discussion. And this is the idea of the first kat. They say one's Kodesh to be total bottle and unified now with discussion and become Ois Metzias. Says the Alter Rebbe further, by a person, he has the level of Kodesh Kodesh. That's the B'chol B'chol Nafshecha. It should come down in the Nefesh, not B'chol Avavcha, burning fire, to become one with higher, but B'chol Nafshecha, to make your Nefesh a keli for the Eibishter. Bringing down the Eibishter in Lemata, to make your Chabad a keli for the Eibishter, for Teir and for Mitzvahs, through Mashav Dibro Maisa. In Teir Mitzvahs, that's Aveda Sa'odom. The idea of the Malach that says Kodesh Kodesh. Says the Alter Rebbe, Begam, Bechol Nafshecha Kipshutei, Zafil Neitlas Nafshecha. Even if he takes your nefesh. So, Chayre, Chayne Mesiris Nefesh, not to bring the Shekhinah Lamata. So he says, no, it means that you're totally given over to the Eibishter and want what he wants. Tzemach Tzedek delves deeper on this Nekuda, even though L'cheira Zashtake Kash. If you say Afilu Neitlas Nafshecha, so it's like the Srofim. What's the difference when they find him in the Srofim? Says the Tzemach Tzedek. The Srofim want to become Ois, period, end of story, at least Akola. But the whole Nafshecha means that even if you need Mesiris Nefesh, you'll do it. You want Teiro Mitzvahs, but you'll do it in such a way that even if you have to die for it, you'll do it. And this Heskim is a mitzvah, and it's part of the meaning of mitzvahs, Afilu Neitlas Nafshecha. but it's not the same. It's not looking for Mesiras Nefesh for the Ein Mesiras Nefesh. Says the Tzemach Tzedek further. If you look, this is Pshat in the Rayim Mehem in Pashas Emor. Istalig vovroza the Shamayim. What does this mean? The first Kodesh is just halaw, like it says in Kisvei Arizal. In order to have Yichud Abba V'Ima to get a new Haor Elamat, you need a Mayim Nukfin for Mesiras Nefesh to be a new Hamshach in Chochmah. And that's the Mesiras Nefesh of Srafim Eim de Mimale. They know there's great Haores, and then there's the Kodesh Habeis, not the Hamshach that comes through Mesiras Nefesh, but the Hamshach that comes through Torah. And then there's the Kodesh, the third cut that says Kodesh 3 times. That's the Hamshach through mitzvahs, like will be explained later. And also, if you look in the Rayim Mehem, the Pashas Emor, you'll see that the first Kodesh is Aloeh, and the third Kodesh is Maisa Mitzvahs, like we'll see tomorrow.